everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a DIY Dollar Tree Neutral Farmhouse Decor makeover. It's just some Dollar Tree sign makeovers. We're going to make over this Dollar Tree sign, but don't worry guys, kept one to keep orange for me. Yeah. And then we're also going to create something neutral and autumn for this trick-or-treat sign. We're going to use some of this buffalo check baby blanket and a little bit of this headband, but you really can use whatever ribbon you want to embellish it or embellish it as you wish. Either one of them actually. And then for this we're going to use some white paint, but we're also going to use some of the Spanish moss. That was the color I found to be the most neutral but with color, if that makes any sense. So the first thing we're going to do is I wanted to tell you, so excited, if you have not found this sign, or if you've not remade your sign, this doesn't seem to have the layer of paper on it that we normally have on the Dollar Tree signs. It's actually painted, which I was really pleasantly surprised. I already knew what I wanted to do to it, but as I was sanding all of the glitter and there's sort of like a layer of glue where underneath the glitter, so the letter's almost raised, I came across this beautiful, like, just weathered looking board, and I was like, oh, do I just stop here? It does have a very farmhouse feel, that it's sanded, but it doesn't have a very neutral feel. But I really loved it. I mean, to the point where I was like in layers. Do you see how cute it looks? Just sanded? I know. Stop it, Jerry. Just stop it. But anyhow, so then what I want to do is I want to paint it. We're going to put down a layer of white chalk paint. This is just Waverly chalk paint, and I think, yeah, this is Waverly because the folk art is out. I'm just going to put a nice layer on it, but while it's still wet. And you see I kind of went with the grain of the pumpkins while I was sanding it and while I was painting it, like the grain, like the direction of the pumpkin circles. The tiniest bit of green paint, you can see there's a tiny bit there. I've taken the chisel edge of the brush and I'm going to use that to draw. Basically, we're going to continue the circles. So that middle oval that starts at the top and goes to the bottom, we're just going to continue that around with a sharp line. And then we're going to blend the sharp line off to the sides. And the reason we're doing that is because we want the center portion of the pumpkin just to be highlighted, because it's supposed to be forward. But then after we're done with all of the shades that we like on the sides, then I'm just taking whatever tiny bit is left over and I'm just darkening on the base of the pumpkin. Basically, I'm making it look like it's sitting down on something and it's going to have a little shadow underneath the base. Okay? That's it. I took a tiny bit more green just to give some dimension to the stem. The stem was just solid brown. So basically, I brushed green over it, took a wet wipe, basically with my finger, made a line through it, and then just stamped it. Well, like pounced it, so just to soften the edges. And that was just to give it the dimension, you know, some dark highlights with the brown, and then I basically made a green stem with some dark highlights. Okay, so then once it's dry, I set it off to dry, and once it's dry, we're going to go ahead and we're going to now decorate it. Now this is where you can become creative and do however you want. I think the DIY here was not just about how we're decorating it, but it's about the painting technique and making this a neutral pumpkin. But I'm decided to take one of these galvanized metal harvest signs from the Dollar Tree. This comes in the package. It says thankful, grateful, I'm thankful, harvest, and welcome. So this is the harvest sign, and I think I'm going to make happy harvest. I think that's what I've determined. So what I'm going to do is I'm just using my ruler just to keep like a straight edge and to line it up, and now I'm penciling in the word happy. But again, you want to make sure that I like to draw it out with pencil first so that I have my spacing correct. And even though that this is a pencil with a red eraser on the top, normally I like to use a white eraser when I'm erasing off of white paint so I don't leave any marks behind. But I went ahead and I just did just some simple straight, you know, Arial type font. What I ended up using to color it was the silver magic marker that I got at the Dollar Tree a couple of years ago. It came in a set of silver and gold, and this is the silver one because I wanted to just enhance that galvanized look. Now I could have done it in layers. I kind of did want to because I took this harvest sign and I built it up, and I'll show you here in a second, and it does kind of cast a shadow. So then I was like, oh, maybe I should create a shadow on the lettering, but I decided just to leave it, but that might be something that I do in the future. What I'm doing is I'm just taking scraps of foam board. You can use cardboard or you can roll up pieces of paper and glue them. But basically, I'm just putting behind the fat letter of the fat H, the T, and the fat part of the V. And I'm doing that with just glue, making them thin enough so you can't see them. And then I'm going to color them in with that silver marker just to create lift. I didn't want this harvest thing to sit flat on the pumpkin. I want to give it some lift. I saw something at Walmart, and I know you guys haven't seen that Walmart haul yet, but this really cute sign, I almost wanted to get like the feeling of it. But I wanted to use up this harvest. When you got these packages, I use the thankful and the welcome a lot, and only use the harvest this time of year. So I just wanted to make sure that I got a chance to use that one. Okay. So now that I've just colored the silver in, just to make it disappear if you look at it from the side, I'm going to glue it back around where I wanted it. Again, you can put this on it. You can angle this. You could tilt this. You could do any way really, but I just wanted it to have like a dimension. Do you see how cute it looks now that it's like popping off of the pumpkin? Well, I thought so anyway. And the glue hairs on Gorilla Glue, you got to get them off fast, because when you use a Gorilla Glue stick, they work really well, but get those hairs off immediately, because you never know. You just never know. So now I'm just going to take a little piece of wire from the Dollar Tree. This is in the hardware section. It's from the tool bench line. It comes with a black one, a red one, and 2 silver ones. So we just took a section. You could put the jute back. You could hang ribbon. You can do any of those things. I just wanted to do something a little different. Again, I wanted to emulate that sign. And I've just taken a section and I've wrapped it really tightly around a pencil. Now this isn't very strong wire. If I had my druthers, the Dollar Tree does sell a fatter gauge floral wire that might have been more appropriate for this, but this held up. This is holding up pretty well, so I'm happy with it. But what I did was from the back, I poked the ends of the wires through, and I tried to make them even, but I made sure that the top was like level. That was really like the most important part. Then I took my needle nose pliers and I just twirled the end of the wire around them and then laid that twisty flat. If you ever seen one of these signs from the store, that's kind of how like the hanger is. They just twist it around in a circle and then they lay it flat. But just to ensure it, because I said this wire isn't very strong and I didn't want it to pop out, I'm just putting 2 dots of the hot glue back there, giving it a second to cool, and then pushing it in with my finger. Now I've taken this baby blanket. This is the width of the baby blanket, not the length, and I've cut a piece of ribbon. Basically, I wanted 2 rows of the buffalo check, but you can do it as wide or as little as you want. And again, this would look really cute with really any kind of ribbon or embellishments, but I wanted to go with that still neutral feel. I wanted to enhance the galvanized look in the silver. Even though there is like a little green in the pumpkin, it still feels very neutral to me. And there's even a brown stem, but it really does feel very, very neutral to me. So I'm just taking that 2 rows and I'm creating a bow. And because this isn't wire edged ribbon, you're going to have to take a minute just to rearrange your ribbon and, well, ribbon, sure. And you're going to have to play with it so that it lays flat. I twisted it around so like the black check row was up at the top of the bows and on the same opposite mirror image sides, of the tails. And it just took a few minutes. As you can see, this is actually 2 times speed, 4 times speed. It might be 4 times speed. That you can see it's just taking me quite a few minutes. But take your time, because where are you going? The other thing I want to tell you while I'm mentioning that is that there is a way to slow down my videos. There are 3 dots in the upper right hand corner of the video, and what you can do if you click on those 3 dots is you can choose to slow down the speed. And my suggestion to you would be to watch it one time and then go back and slow down the portions that you need. This way you can hear my instructions. But that's just for you guys, obviously. If you're having trouble with the speed, you can go ahead and try that. So now I didn't want to glue the ribbon on because I don't really know where I wanted it, to be honest with you. So I did the jute thing. I stuck a piece of jute behind the knot and I tied it on here. And then because it's wire edged ribbon, the tails don't want to stay. So I kind of tucked one tail behind the wire. The other tail is not covering the word happy, but the one that was covering the word happy, I tucked it behind the wire there. Plus I showed you where you can move it. You could put it at the top if you want to. And this is how it turned out. I think it's super cute, and it was such a simple project. Both these projects were like about a half an hour, maybe an hour for both of these. But that's how that looks. And now for this one, this is a Halloween box art, and I love the fact that it had a black background that was kind of aged and weathered already. Now, you guys know I celebrate Halloween. I love Halloween. It's one of my favorite holidays. And I know a lot of you don't, but this is a way to take the Halloween decor and make it French country farmhouse, modern farmhouse for me. You can see that I'm actually just going over all of the orange with white, but you can just paint this whole pumpkin white and then go back in and fill in lines. But what I decided to do, I stopped. I realized I was supposed to do this first, is I took my Sharpie and I went back over the lines because where we had sanded it had left marks. Plus, where it had said trick or treat over the lines, we'd had to go ahead and color those in black so that we can make the trick or treat portion disappear. So all I did was I took my Sharpie. What I love about redoing this pumpkin is that this pumpkin, when you look at it up close, looks like it's maybe cut paper or like not a great paint job, so that if you're somebody who doesn't do a great paint job, that's okay. It looks like that's the way it was made to begin with. So I thought that this was a great one to go ahead and redo for you guys. Now, I did really like the harsh black lines. I do. That's what gives it to me that more modern farmhouse feel. So that's why I left those. But again, if you want to just color in the whole pumpkin white, and then you can go back in and shade it like we did in the last pumpkin, absolutely 100%. That's up to you. Okay, now they did have harvest signs, of this little tiny box sign, but none of them had like a black background, which I kind of really wanted. I do like that black and white contrast. If you've seen any of my house decors, you know that black, white, and red is the primary colors going out throughout the majority of the living area in my house, including my bedroom. So I definitely wanted this look. This is what I go for. Now, I also, again, if you're new here, hi, I'm Jeri-Ann. But if you've been around for a while, you also know that I have a box of autumn decor that goes from autumn season through Halloween to Thanksgiving. And basically, I have their crossover pieces. And this one will absolutely go in that box to be a crossover piece. This can go with my autumn decor. It can stay straight through to my Thanksgiving decor. And I don't have to do anything else to it if I don't want to, but you could put like a little bat sticker on there, a little spider web if you wanted to make it Halloween, but make it removable Halloween, okay? So if you saw there, I kind of made like a little mistake, which I wanted to show you how you could correct it, but you don't need to correct it, and I'll show you that in a second, is I just took the back of my paintbrush, I wrapped a wipe around it, and I used it to clean out the line. But what we're going to do is when this dries, we're going to go ahead and fill those lines back in anyway. What I decided to do for the stem was basically took the white paintbrush and added some highlights to it. That when we go with the Sharpie, we're going to add the low lights or the shadows when we're all done. So you'll see. So I set this off to dry. Just give it all its little touch-ups, any little highlights. I also highlighted where the curls, which you call tendrils, wherever the curl would go over, I seemed like that would be the top layer. I did that in a couple of spots as well. So now we set it off to dry, and we come back once it's dry, which with chalk paint, you guys know, doesn't take very long. And again, I was not looking for a perfect paint job since this sign did not look like it had a perfect paint job. That's why I just went ahead and went with it, which I thought it was really, really cute. So now I'm just going back in with my Sharpie, and I'm going back over the lines. This is your opportunity to make it more perfect if you want to. Perfectly imperfect is always the look that I'm going for, but definitely this is your opportunity to go ahead and touch up any mistakes that you might have made that are, something that you can't really, that it's bothering you. You can go ahead and fix it here is what I'm trying to say. And now the same thing with that stem. I just laid a black line next to those white lines. As well as with the tendrils, we went ahead and just added the the darkness, the shadow that would be under the curl. Okay. So now I'm just taking a piece of the headband, which honestly I will have to apologize, excuse me. This isn't a piece of the headband. Not until I was finished did I realize that this is actually a piece of fabric from Walmart, but I had it in the scrap bag when I have little pieces left over, and I thought I grabbed the headband. But you see the headband, we've worked with it before, so it's the same thing. This had a raw edge on one side, so we ripped a raw edge on the other side just to tie a bow. So just basically you tie a little tiny bow. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be pretty. Well, it has to be pretty, but it doesn't have to be perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And it just looks really cute. So now I've taken a white pumpkin, the front, and a leaf from the, you know, those long stalk of pumpkins that they get at the Dollar Tree. Well, I have them from Dollar General. They came in white at the Dollar General, but you could always paint the ones from the Dollar Tree. And I took it and I cut the pumpkin not quite in half, but a little bit larger than half. And then I took one of its leaves off, and I wanted to put the leaf on the pumpkin, and I wanted to glue the pumpkin down in the bottom to give it some dimension. I also took my Sharpie and drew the black lines in the spaces of the pumpkin, and that's how it looks. So that's it. Hope you guys really enjoyed these tutorials. If you do, give this video a thumbs up. If you have any questions at all, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share this video with friends and family, anybody who might be interested in learning how to make over or the painting techniques or any of that stuff. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe. And when you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And as always, you guys take care. God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye.